I first saw a showing of blood one weekend and decided that it possibly was a one-off, and I'd see what transpired later on. Well, I think about 6 weeks later there was a second showing. So I knew then that there was something wrong, and I got down to see the doctor as soon as I could make an appointment. And she, of course, arranged for me to have a urine test, which was to be analyzed. And subsequently, of course, it was, well, I can't recall now. It was some weeks before I was actually seen by someone in the hospital. And he had conducted an internal investigation of my bladder and gave me a very, very good explanation of bladder cancer in general and my particular circumstances, which was very, very good. And then after that, I had to undergo a further examination for the purpose of obtaining some biopsy specimens. That biopsy did show that, of course, there was a cancer in the lining of the bladder, for which treatment would be necessary. And I'm now still in the process of that treatment. Well, it's insertion of the, I believe it's called the BCG medication, in an effort to kill off the cancer cells, I presume, that exist in the lining of the bladder. And I've been informed that this particular treatment has been very, very successful, and we're optimistic about the results of it. I am an optimist, and I believe that the treatment will be successful. And that's how I go through life. The treatment has been perfectly all right. It's not been uncomfortable in any form at all. I was warned that there could be side effects afterwards. I received virtually no side effects after any of the treatments. So in that respect, I've been very, very fortunate. The side effects which I have had have been ever so slight. They have been symptomatic of a possible flu problem, but so slight they just didn't interfere in my life at all. I was, of course, apprehensive, as I think probably most people would be, about what it would involve, but I found that the catheter employed is a very fine instrument. So it didn't feel that intrusive at all. In fact, I was unaware when the treatment had been completed. It was so, I won't say comfortable, but it was far from being uncomfortable. So I was pleasantly surprised by the procedure involved in the treatment. So I'd come home, of course, after the treatment and find that it was necessary probably to urinate much more frequently than is normal. But with the passage of the hours, that would recede, and I find that everything became more comfortable. In the very beginning after the treatment, it was possible that I would get a stinging sensation when I urinated, and I would get a sort of a small spasm. But these particular symptoms would fade with the passage of a few hours, and I'd normally be returning to normal in perhaps about 4 or 5 hours afterwards. I knew virtually nothing about bladder cancer before my diagnosis. I've been exposed to it with one relative and one just casual friend in the past, and that really has been the limit of my exposure to it. And in both cases, they were probably outdated experiences. They wouldn't possibly have any more application to the present day situation. So, no, I was ignorant of bladder cancer, and this is why the consultations which I received were so helpful, and they were very, very thorough. And we left both consultations with no questions unanswered. My daughter, as well as my wife, took considerable interest in my condition and actually visited me in hospital.
Well, I surprisingly, I've been positive. I've surprised myself. Getting more information as we've gone along, I am really positive now and quite confident. And obviously that's important for to help Richard through this. But it's not been hard for me. I just literally am now quite a positive person about the whole thing. As soon as I knew that there was treatment, and then learning that this particular treatment has been pretty successful, that was a real boost for me, and really encouraged me to think much more positively about the whole thing. We've really, I think, just gone on as normal. Apart from the fact that he's having treatment for bladder cancer, it hasn't actually changed our lives. We are coping with it, and we haven't had to make changes.